We are only a few weeks out from Iowa, and then a week after that, New Hampshire. Des Moines Register, CNN poll, there's something else at the end of that, I think Mediaite, just released a poll. Sanders surges to first place in that poll. Not just surges to first place, takes first place for the first time in that poll. And again, we are only a couple of weeks out, or a few weeks out from the Iowa caucus. I would imagine that this is amazing news for one Bernie Sanders. Now, they say Bernie Sanders' strategy in this process is risky. I don't know why they say it's a risky strategy, considering it's the only strategy he has in order to win this race. Expand the electorate. Expand the electorate into areas where people who typically don't vote. Get those people into the political process. Get them jazzed up and energized and pull them into your fold. Get them to picture and believe, at the very least, that somebody who is authentic would be working in their interests and fold them into what he is considering and calling a political revolution. Now, what that means is bringing in more people into the political process in state after state after state. That is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to poll. And despite that not being the easiest thing in the world to poll, Sanders, in conventional terms, has taken first place in Iowa. To show you I'm not hiding the ball on this, this is the Des Moines Register poll. Sanders up 5, Warren up 1 at 17%, Sanders at 20%. Buttigieg down 9. Down 9. Now, the poller said whatever the enthusiasm that was there for Buttigieg evaporated. Now, the catch here is Buttigieg's support was always soft. And because that support was always soft, that support could come and go. In this case, it went. Now, real RCP is consistent with that poll. Sanders, 21.3. Buttigieg, 21. Yeah, this one is in. Sanders, 21.3. Sanders has taken the lead even in the average of polls in Iowa. The same thing is true in New Hampshire. If Sanders takes the first 2 states, he would have a ball of steam going into the third state, Nevada. Then South Carolina, where Joe Biden is going to wreck everybody who's there. But nevertheless, he just needs a good showing in order to continue on to the other states. You're not going to win every state. There are going to be some states where you're going to get trashed. But that's not really the thing. Your goal is to win and to get the states that you believe are favorable to you over others. In this case, though, this is going through the polling. It's funny reading it. Ultimately, it breaks down just like every other poll. They make the point that there's an age disparity in regards to people under 35 versus people over 35. People over a certain age range, Sanders only gets like 5%. By the same token, he gets the younger demographic in spades. That's consistent with other trends. The pay gap, meaning people who are under 70,000 were much more likely to support Sanders. People who didn't have a college degree were much more likely to support Sanders. You're talking about the Walmart workers, the people who, for the most part, are not necessarily on the great end of the economic scale. This is good, though. This means that his message have essentially gotten across to people who, at the very least, acknowledge that he will benefit my own personal material needs. And there are things that we as a country can come together in order to solve. We don't necessarily have to do these things as an individual. In the same way that a billionaire can function in his own ends, meaning paying off political people. Bloomberg, for fuck's sake, has put $100 million into this political race. A vanity project. They put money into their own whims. They do things that are in their interests. Well, we have a democratic system. We can do the same. They get it. They're getting it. Needless to say, and I'll end it on this. If Buttigieg loses Iowa, Buttigieg can call it a day. Buttigieg is getting the white vote at a degree that I thought was impossible. I think it was like 90%. I thought the number was dodgy, but the number was true. And New Hampshire and Iowa are the two whitest states. So these will be his best states. Meaning if you had a pitcher who would just throw it underhand at the slowest speed possible, that would be Iowa and New Hampshire for Buttigieg. If he loses in those states, call it a day. It is just going to get worse from there. And there's going to be one black guy after the next as you move through one state after the next. But we'll see. I mean, by RCP average, he's still in number 2 spot. And even in this poll, he's still in the number 3rd spot. And that's after falling 9. People were jazzed up about Buttigieg and then not so much. Jazzed about Sanders. They're feeling the burn. They are feeling the burn. I'll leave it here. Let's see, where is Steyer? Steyer, 2%. Okay. Steyer must be using his money strategically in the various places. He must be dumping just tons of money in the various states. The states where he's dumped massive amounts of money in, he's been able to move up into the polls. In South Carolina, he's been able to jump up. I think it was some ungodly, like 10 points or more. I think it was more than 10 points. He was at 15% in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. Like, just astonishing. Ultimately, you're just talking about somebody who's buying an election. God, if Sanders takes Iowa, New Hampshire. Oh. Not to mention putting a knife in Buttigieg early on so he doesn't necessarily metastasize into something later. I'll end this here. This video wasn't meant to be long. I just wanted to give a polling update. Mediacom, I'm sorry. Des Moines Register, CNN, and Mediacom. All right, I'll leave it here. Like, share, and subscribe. And before I forget, Cheryl Tyler. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Cool Blue. Jamal, one thing to keep in mind, all 50 states have held primaries since 1976. Democrats and the 1980 Republicans all eventually nominees won their home state. Okay. Oh, you're talking about Biden. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Just because it's happened for a while doesn't necessarily mean it would continue. I mean, Al Gore didn't win his own home state. Oh, but you're saying primaries. You're saying primaries. Well, we'll see. I think that trend is going to be broken this year, but we'll see. Or at the very least, it's looking good for Sanders. Let's put it that way. If I had to be anywhere, I would rather be in Sanders' shoes. Let's say it that way. All right. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks all.